find them in a gym hall. So Jo, my character, is being dragged along by her best friend Chantelle. They've grown up together, and this is their first time trying out a new hobby of backhold wrestling.
Yeah, like Adiza says, Chantelle sort of dragged Jo along because we've sort of, in the rehearsal process, discussed that Chantelle has probably tried a number of different things in order to try and become Instagram famous, go viral. So this is the kind of niche thing that she thinks is going to sort of like separate her from the rest. Really interesting actually, because you see a script go through quite drastic changes as well, and that's absolutely what Throne has gone through, not only from development to rehearsals, but from the first day of rehearsals to the end of rehearsals. Like if we think about it, like the script was 90 pages. We have 62 scenes in the play. And that's after cutting it as well. So even that in itself is like, wow, like how do you truncate and strip away all the meat and get straight to the bones? I remember specifically in the development how being struck by a particular scene that actually now has been sort of shortened to get to that. It's the scene where they're talking about tartan. It really felt like the core of the play was there, about the injustices that are going on, the ignorances that are happening, the uncomfortableness that's happening within some of the dynamics within the show. And that's not just what the show's about, but if you're talking about character-driven stuff, that it was really, really in that scene. Because before, in the script, there was lots of different things going on, and it was amazing, and it was very, very high energy, like it is, but sort of out of realism. And then now doing that scene and actually being a shorter scene, and we really get to the core of it very, very quickly, and get to the drama within it very, very quickly as well, because actually what we get is all that tension that originally was built around one scene actually starts from the beginning of the play, and we see that build and build and build and build, and that's one of the moments where everything explodes. So that's an interesting thing about watching a writer go through her process.
The writer is a mixed-race Scottish woman, so the first meeting I had with her and like chatting to her was so beautiful and different, because we are both mixed, but I'm like African, mum from Airdrie, she's Coatbridge, dad from Jamaica. So for me, it was nice to talk about her experiences and my experiences, because we are so similar but completely different. And that really taught me about, oh my God, the mixed race experience is universal, but so different for each and every one of us. So this story was not my story. This was Jo's story. So that's what really taught me of how to find a way in and not make it about my own trauma. Actually, in my career, a kind of pinnacle moment, because sometimes it's hard to separate you from the character. And I thought, yeah, the writing was just so beautiful, and it was nice to find a way in through the process and tell this story. So when I do get to those emotional beats, that's Jo that's in that state, and not me thinking about all the racial prejudice I've had to deal with growing up. Even though we have brown people on the team, it's still predominantly white space, but everyone has went above and beyond to try and make it as comfortable and as, not easy process, but so from the first day, the producer came in and was like, we've got therapists on hand for the actors. When it came to talking about costume and hair, me and Effie, both of us being Black women, and what our hair means and what it does, and how hard it is to keep up with your hair in a Scottish summer. So we had that discussion very early on, and the NTS made sure that, we got the right support, finding hairdressers for us to like go into and things like that. So for me, out of all the jobs I've had, this has definitely been a very beautiful, supported experience, and it's very exciting to see big companies like this go in that direction. And that's what's so clever about Nat's writing. She really hit the nail on the head with relationships and dialogue and how people interact with each other and how important language is and how we use it. Because till this day, there's still words that were okay 10 years ago, but they're not okay now. Or words that we use in our experiences and not understanding how it affects somebody else. And it's so easy to go defensive and be like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. Didn't mean it like that. Yeah, I know, but your experience is different from this person. And what's great about all 5 characters is we're all in our own universe. Like, I remember Effie actually saying, remember, you're always in your own universe. And if you take things personal, it's not always about you. That person's just in their own kind of universe going through something. So I thought that was quite a nice little kind of line in my head. I was like, okay, so it's not about...
You're the only person who's the centre of your universe.
Yeah, and this character was very far away from who I am, so I try and do as much research to come in, just so that so my first thing I done was I watched Glow from Netflix, because it was about wrestling. Then I realised it's got nothing to do with backhold wrestling. So then, I went and watched lots of videos of backhold wrestling. I kind of, done a bit more research into the culture, the Highland Games, things like that. And then I read the script about 3 times. I try not to read it too much because I know it's going to change. And I definitely don't start learning lines because I like to start fresh and see, the way that we're all going to move and speak together. And fitness-wise, because it's a very physical show, I did start, getting into the gym, getting myself ready for like stamina, because when you're doing theatre versus TV, it's a different type of game. It's kind of like a marathon, not a sprint. So I always try and get in shape, cut out things that are unhealthy, not too much, but just trying to get my body and mind ready to go into this process.
Every play is different for me. It depends, like you say, how close the character is to you. I definitely think Chantelle is very different to me, in so many ways. There are similarities, but I was like, for me, I felt like if I started doing way too much research, I was going to get into my head before. So I was like, I need to work this out on the floor. For me, I'm on Instagram and all those sorts of things, so we know what those influencers are like and things like that, even though actually I think Chantelle isn't even as good as that. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, I don't want to influence it too much. I want to just try and see what comes out of me, because we've been speaking about authenticity and like what's the internal motor, what's your internal motor, and then how can that drive the character. So for every play it's different. Sometimes I do an insane amount of research before I go in. For this, I just wanted to see what everyone else was bringing and kind of just work it out in the room.
I'm a very practical person rather than theory. So for me, I love to work things out on the floor as well.
For sure.
And
really
feel the energy. Because when you're reading it to yourself, you have in your head what you think the other character is going to sound like. But bear in mind, some of them I've not even met them, or their voices, or their bodies, or their energy. So there's only so much work you can do on your own. So I always say, take the pressure off. Don't feel like you have to know it for going into the room. It's like the first day of school. You're all on the same boat, and you're going to get there.
Because obviously these women are in their late 20s. They're not at school anymore, but yet Chantelle still, I feel, definitely carries this friendship. It carries the codependency of what it is to grow up in schemes or grow up in, less affluent areas where you band together and all you have is each other, and they carry that. And that's one of the at the crux of the play between these two anyway. And I kept thinking about relationships that I've had growing up in where I'm from. I kept thinking about where the girls that bullied me were now and who they could possibly be. And that's the stuff that kept influencing me throughout it. Chantelle is lost. She's just kind of reaching out for different things and trying to get some sort of stability in her life, because Joe's the only stability that she has. And I felt that quite deeply at points in the rehearsal process of thinking about the codependent relationships that I've had with female friends.
So me, Adiza, as a mixed race woman, when, and I date a white man, I've got lots of white friends, during the BLM movement, I had a chat with them. I was like, if you are my friend, you have to be anti-racist. You can't be on the fence, you can't be unaware. You have to, if you want me in your life, I can't just be your brown friend. And I made that very clear. And, my white amazing allies rose to that. And the ones that didn't were the ones that I couldn't have in my life anymore. It was painful, but it had to be done. So I feel like with Jo, so Jo's a different version of me. She's not, doesn't know much about her black side, not quite educated, but in a different way. So she's not quite clued up with the kind of anti-racist chat and things, because she's only been around white people. So I feel like the first moment that Jo actually realizes that Chantelle is not anti-racist is that massive moment when her and Effie are in the field and get shouted a slur and no one stands up for them. I have been in those situations and they are painful. And the ones that rise to the challenge, you feel safe. And I think that's a moment where she doesn't feel safe anymore. So it's a big moment for her. And of course, what happens right after that, she gets the job. So it's almost like, okay, this is okay.
It's prophecy's fulfilling itself.
She makes a decision when Chantelle goes viral. That's her out. She's like, okay, she's going to be fine now. She's all right, she's got this viral, she's going to get the money, she's going to get out of that broken home. This is I'm gone. I think that is the moment I've probably said, I'm definitely going. But up until then, it was like, I kind of knew in my heart I was going to go, but I just didn't know how.
And it's interesting that all three of us the moment is the slur, where things shift. And for Chantelle, it's not that she knows that she's done wrong, it's that she knows she'll never get Joe back in the way that she's like, something has shifted now. And for Chantelle, it's sometimes, every show is kind of different when I'm trying to work out the journey, because it's like, you're trying not to judge a character the whole time as well, because I'm looking at this person, she's not seeing the cause and effect, the impact that she's having because of her own trauma, because of the way that she's been brought up and all those things. But it's, you know, something can only be an excuse for so long, right? But that shift is this moment, the moment at the Highland Games is the shift for Chantelle, where she has lost grip of that friendship and she doesn't know how to get it back anymore. Whereas before, she's watching this closeness start to evolve right from the minute that she walks in the room. From the minute that she says, "Wagwan fam," it's like, what? Like, what's happening here? Like and really for me, the first, it's not Wagwan, it's the click, it's the handshake, it's that, what's that? What is that? I don't know what that is. And the whole time it's Chantelle going, I don't understand this, I don't understand this, I don't understand this. And her thinking that, like, the line, it's got nothing to do with Imogen, it's got everything to do with Imogen. No, it's got everything to do with Chantelle. And she doesn't see it for the first time. She doesn't see herself at the center of something, she sees somebody else. And again, that's her ignorance. And this is where it comes up, where some people think she's racist, some people don't think she's racist.
If Jo was there on her own, I think with that racial slur, she probably would have just been like, oh yeah, it's Scotland, Scotland. But because there's a brown girl there going, it's not okay, Jo. That's not okay. I'm with you. Like, I know you're not alone in this. So there's something about the two of us in it. Okay, so that's when Jo starts to kind of shift.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the last scene's a key moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big key moment, like, for sure. Like, because it's all out and it's being played for in that. It's like
pain. It's two women in pain who love each other so much. And, you know, remember, friendships are also like love relationships, you know, apart from without the intimacy part. And it's like the breakup
sometimes
scene.
They're more intimate, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Sometimes they can be
especially
more intimate.
Being women, definite. So I think, that key moment, the key moment's probably when Jo tells her finally what she wants.
Yeah, I would say that, because it always feels like impactful. I don't know how long it's been since Jo's probably said to Chantelle, nah, I didn't want to do that, or like, you know, obviously they can be like that, shut up, like and they can always be, but really be like honest, like, and not internalize everything, because she's worried how Chantelle will react. Will Chantelle be hurt? Chantelle has nobody. Chantelle's the centre, has been the centre for too long, do you know, and it's a big shift.
And she's obviously a character that's going through a lot of pain and trouble.
Obviously the games, it's like, that's the not knowing for Chantelle. Something shifted and I'm never going to get it back, but I don't know what it is. It's when Jo tells her that she's got a job in London and she told Imogen first. It's huge for Chantelle. I go up and you can't see what I'm doing, but obviously we'll never leave the stage. So it's like, you've always got to just be in some form of the story, right?
Processing.
And I climbed the ladder and I burst into tears, because I remember Johnny being like that. She wants to get as quickly out of that shop as possible when that information is given to her, because she's going to burst into tears. When I go into that scene, I know she's going to tell me that she's going to London by herself. I know.
You feel the tension.
It's done.
You do, yeah.
And that's why it's all this. What do you mean? Like, tell me, what's your secret plans? All this. Tell me. I'm begging for you. Slap me in the face with it, because like I can't take the not knowing anymore. And
like the two things I always say that humans hate is rejection and desperation. I say that in everything, in jobs, and you know, I used to do sales. Like, if you're really desperate, if you're too, it's all about being in the middle. So there is nothing worse than being rejected, and that's a massive rejection for Chantelle.
Yeah, and basically throughout it, I feel like Chantelle is desperate. She's it's like this desperate.
And then for Jo, desperation is really often.
Exactly.
And it's the same in any relationship. How many times have, you know, oh, they're too keen. Oh, they're not texting me. Oh, so it's that kind of like, so we've got the two things that humans hate, and they're both giving it to each other in a big way. Yeah.
I want the audience to leave being open to having more conversations. I've always said, this is something that is a really cheesy thing that a drama teacher said to me at drama school, was good theatre makes you, when you leave, makes you want to go and phone your mum or whoever that person might be, phone them and be like that. Either I love you, or I've been meaning to talk to you about this, or whatever it is. Like a good story, not just good theatre, but a good story, right? And I want people to be leaving not going, well, one, I would like people to start doing backhold wrestling.
Yes!
And two, I would like
I
people
love that.
to be going, see that scene? What do you think they were talking about there? Like, how did that make you feel?
Yeah.
Like, and especially if we're playing like we are, playing to predominantly white audiences, I want them to go away and I want them to reflect on the conversations that they're having and how they then enter other conversations, and the impact that then possibly could ricochet on having, you know.
Not being scared to be uncomfortable. I would like audiences to leave not feeling alone. So I feel like each woman could represent, because the themes are so universal. Sometimes when I see another mixed race, young women in the audience, I get really excited, especially when I see them laugh at the jokes or the kind of nuances. And that's, all you want is to move them in some way. We're not going to change them. We're not here to preach or tell you how to think, but if I can just make you feel something, whether it's good, bad, we've done our job in storytelling.